Welcome to English Life Stories. Looking to improve your English naturally? Here, we grow together through meaningful stories, spoken slowly, clearly, and with joy. Just press play, unwind, and enjoy every step of the journey.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever dreamed of opening that famous Tiffany blue box? Small, yet full of meaning? For some, it symbolizes love. For others, luxury. For many, it's still an unfulfilled dream. Today, you will discover the incredible journey of how one man, with vision and courage, created a symbol recognized globally, a symbol of dreams, diamonds, elegance, and love. Grab your headphones and let's start the extraordinary story of Tiffany Co. Introduction. A box, a dream, a legacy. Imagine this, a small blue box that can change your life. One iconic color becoming a global symbol of love, elegance, and dreams. This is Tiffany Co., established in 1837, famous for diamonds, famous for love, and famous for the legendary blue box. But Tiffany is much more than jewelry. It's a journey of creativity, passion, risk, and reinvention. Chapter 1. The Sparkle Begins. In 1837, in the bustling heart of New York City, a young man named Charles Lewis Tiffany was about to embark on a remarkable journey. At only 25 years, old Charles opened a modest stationery and fancy goods store with his friend John B. Young. The small shop, located at 259 Broadway, was far from glamorous at first glance, but Charles was determined. His vision was clear, yet quietly revolutionary. Offer products of unmatched quality with clear, transparent prices. This was unusual at the time when bargaining was the norm, and customers often left stores feeling uncertain about their purchases. But Charles changed all that. He believed deeply in fairness and honesty, qualities that quickly won him the trust and loyalty of New Yorkers. Soon, word spread across Manhattan. Tiffany's store was different. It was not just another shop selling paper and fancy trinkets. It was a place where customers felt valued and respected. Charles understood intuitively what people desired, not merely goods, but an experience that made them feel special. Within a few years, this visionary young man boldly expanded his offerings, venturing into the world of fine jewelry. Diamonds, gold, and silver began sparkling in the windows of Tiffany's store, drawing crowds who had previously seen luxury as something exclusively European. By 1845, Charles introduced another groundbreaking idea: America's first luxury mail-order catalog, famously known as the Tiffany Blue Book. Elegantly designed with meticulous care, the Blue Book displayed exquisite jewelry and luxury items in a way Americans had never seen before. This catalog wasn't just about selling, it was about sending a powerful message. It declared boldly and clearly that beauty and elegance were no longer reserved only for European aristocrats. America, too, had the right to luxury, taste, and sophistication. Just like Tiffany opened the doors of luxury to everyday people, this story opens the door for you to practice your English and dream a little bigger with every word. The timing was perfect. America was growing, vibrant, and ambitious, and Charles's Blue Book quickly became an anticipated annual event. People eagerly awaited its arrival, dreaming of owning Tiffany's stunning creation. Tiffany's reputation blossomed rapidly, and soon Charles made another courageous decision that set his company apart from competitors. He traveled to Europe and personally acquired diamonds from noble families fleeing political unrest. In 1848, when revolutions swept through Europe, Charles took advantage of the uncertainty to purchase some of the finest gemstones at unprecedented prices. His foresight and bravery earned him the nickname King of Diamonds, solidifying his position in the luxury market. Tiffany's store transformed. Once a small, humble stationery shop, it now stood as a beacon of elegance and beauty. Visitors marveled at the brilliant jewelry displays, each piece carefully crafted, each gemstone selected with meticulous precision. Yet, what truly set Tiffany apart was something deeper, something emotional. Charles Tiffany wasn't merely selling diamonds. He was selling dreams, trust, and beauty. His creations became symbols of cherished moments, lifetime achievements, and everlasting bonds of love. But Charles knew that success wasn't without its challenges. Even as his business thrived, the pressures of the luxury market weighed heavily upon him. Competitors envied his success, questioning if his high standards were sustainable. Economic downturns loomed on the horizon, threatening his carefully built empire. Charles understood that staying on top would require constant innovation, unshakable dedication to quality. Still, he persevered, guided by his unwavering belief that true luxury lay not just in the sparkle of diamonds, but in trust and integrity. The Tiffany name became synonymous not only with exquisite jewelry, but with the dreams and aspirations of millions of Americans. Charles Lewis Tiffany had started something extraordinary, something destined to endure. Have you ever faced a moment when everything seemed uncertain, but you kept going just because you believed in your dream? Chapter 2: Diamonds Under Pressure. Charles Lewis Tiffany had made his mark. His name was now associated with elegance, quality, and a growing sense of American luxury. But while the Blue Book dazzled readers and the shop windows sparkled with gemstones, life behind the scenes was not always so radiant. Tiffany Co. was entering a new chapter, one filled with challenges, doubts, and immense pressure. Running a luxury business in the 19th century meant navigating not only taste and trends, but also politics, war, and unpredictable economies. The first great test came with the U.S. Civil War, beginning in 1861. As battles raged across the country, people's priorities shifted. Luxury goods were no longer top of mind. Sales slowed. Wealthy customers became cautious. The company had to adapt quickly or risk collapse. In this storm of uncertainty, Charles proved once again that he was more than a jeweler. He was a visionary. Tiffany Co. secured a contract to supply the Union Army with swords, flags, and surgical tools. Yes, even in a time of war, the company found a way to stay relevant while still upholding its standards of craftsmanship. Then came the economic depression of the 1870s. Banks failed. Investments disappeared. Families lost fortunes overnight. Many businesses closed their doors for good. But Tiffany endured. How? Because Charles had never built his company on passing trends. His foundation was trust, quality, and timeless beauty. Even when money was tight, people still longed for things that gave them hope and meaning. A small silver locket, a pair of delicate earrings, symbols of love and memory. Tiffany continued to offer those symbols, and Americans continued to believe in them. But Charles wanted more than survival. He wanted to make a statement to the world. In 1878, he made a bold and unforgettable move. He acquired one of the largest and most breathtaking diamonds ever discovered, a 287-carat yellow diamond unearthed in the Kimberley mines of South Africa. It was unlike anything the world had seen, rich in color, radiant in light, impossible to ignore. Tiffany's master gem cutter transformed it into a 128.54-carat cushion-cut masterpiece, now famously known as the Tiffany Diamond. This wasn't just a gem. It was a symbol of excellence, power, and vision, and the timing was no accident. The diamond arrived just in time for the 1878 Paris Exposition, a grand international showcase of innovation and art. Tiffany's display, featuring the now famous diamond and a collection of intricate silver designs, stunned visitors and judges alike. The brand received the grand prize for silver craftsmanship, a moment of triumph that marked Tiffany Co. not just as an American treasure, but a global authority in luxury. Despite the glory, the pressure never eased. The luxury world was growing. Competitors were emerging. The public wanted more. Could Tiffany stay ahead? Could a company rooted in tradition also lead in innovation? These questions haunted many leaders, but not Charles. He continued to push forward, expanding collections, improving designs, and ensuring that every piece told a story. One such story? The Tiffany engagement ring. With its signature 6-prong setting, it raised the diamond above the band to capture maximum light and sparkle. It redefined how people saw love and proposals. Today, it remains one of the most iconic designs in jewelry history. By the time Charles Lewis Tiffany passed away in 1902, his legacy was firmly in place. But the world was changing fast. New voices, new styles, and even faster competition were beginning to shape the 20th century. Tiffany Co. had survived wars and depressions, but would it survive modernity? Would it continue to shine in a world that was starting to look very different? That answer would arrive in a way no one expected, with the glow of a film screen and the charm of a little black dress. Chapter 3. When Hollywood met Tiffany, the world was changing. The early 20th century brought inventions, revolutions, and new dreams. But by the time the 1960s arrived, something magical happened. Something that would change Tiffany Co. forever. It wasn't a new diamond. It wasn't a royal endorsement. It was a film, a story, a feeling. And it all began with a woman named Audrey Hepburn standing in front of a Tiffany window, holding a croissant and a cup of coffee. In 1961, the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's premiered. It told the story of Holly Golightly, a free-spirited young woman living in New York City. Played by Audrey Hepburn, Holly was elegant, mysterious, and lost in dreams, just like the millions of women who would come to adore her. In one of the film's most famous scenes, Holly stands outside Tiffany's Fifth Avenue store in the early morning light. The city is quiet. The streets are empty. She gazes into the sparkling windows with a soft smile, and she says, "This quietness and the proud look of it, nothing very bad could happen to you there." That one line did something extraordinary. It transformed Tiffany Co. from a jewelry store into something emotional, a sanctuary, a dream, a place where life felt safe, beautiful, and full of possibility. Have you ever looked at something simple, a store window, a photograph, a place, and felt a wave of emotion or inspiration? Share that memory in the comments. The film became a cultural phenomenon, and Tiffany became part of the dream. For the first time, millions of people who had never set foot in New York felt connected to the brand. They imagined themselves in front of that same window, longing not just for diamonds, but for a life of beauty, meaning, and love. Audrey Hepburn's image became forever linked to Tiffany's identity. Her elegance, simplicity, and quiet confidence perfectly reflected what Tiffany stood for. And the brand embraced this connection wholeheartedly. Soon, Tiffany windows were not just places to showcase jewelry. They became scenes of inspiration, carefully curated to tell emotional stories. The magic of storytelling had merged with the magic of design, but Tiffany's Hollywood journey didn't stop there. In 2002, the film Sweet Home Alabama featured a romantic proposal set inside the Tiffany flagship store. The scene was playful, emotional, and unforgettable. For many viewers, it introduced the idea that love and Tiffany were inseparable. And then came Ocean's 8 in 2018, where an all-female crew pulls off an elaborate heist during the Met Gala, targeting none other than a priceless Tiffany necklace. Once again, the brand stood at the center of glamour, intrigue, and elegance. Through these films and others, Tiffany became more than a store. It became a part of culture, a symbol woven into the fabric of love stories, romantic comedies, and cinematic dreams. And while the jewelry was still exquisite, what truly captured hearts was the feeling Tiffany represented: hope, desire, possibility, and celebrities noticed. Marilyn Monroe famously sang, "Diamonds are a girl's best friend," and although she didn't name Tiffany in the song, she wore Tiffany jewels many times. Elizabeth Taylor dazzled in Tiffany diamonds both on and off screen. More recently, Beyoncé and Jay-Z became the faces of a bold new Tiffany campaign, standing in front of a rarely seen Basquiat painting, embodying modern luxury and timeless love. Each era brought a new face, a new story, but the emotion remained the same. Tiffany had tapped into something deeper than style. It had become part of our dreams, and as the cameras flashed and the stories unfolded, Tiffany's blue box began appearing in a new kind of moment, not just in films or on celebrities, but in the hands of everyday people. People proposing and parents gifting bracelets to daughters, friends celebrating milestones. But with the rise of global markets, fast fashion, and new digital brands, the question remained, could Tiffany stay relevant in an age of constant change? That answer would come, not from Hollywood, but from the bold decisions of the modern Tiffany era. Chapter 4. Global Luxury, Local Hearts. The lights of Hollywood had cast Tiffany Co. into the global spotlight, but now the brand faced a new challenge, staying timeless in a fast-changing world. The late 20th century brought new desires, new markets, and new expectations. To remain relevant, Tiffany had to evolve, not only as a symbol of elegance, but as a brand that could speak to hearts across cultures, continents, and generations. And so, Tiffany began to expand, not just physically into new locations, but emotionally into new dreams. In the 1980s and 1990s, Tiffany opened flagship stores in major cities across Europe and Asia. From London to Tokyo, from Paris to Hong Kong, the little blue box began showing up in places where it had never been seen before. But Tiffany didn't simply replicate its New York model overseas. It studied each culture, learning what jewelry meant to people in different regions. In Japan, it highlighted minimalist designs with poetic elegance. In Europe, it emphasized classic craftsmanship. In the Middle East, it embraced bold gold statements. Tiffany became a student of the world, and in doing so, it became beloved globally. But global success didn't make Tiffany lose sight of its local touch. Behind every expansion was a simple goal: to connect emotionally with people. Tiffany knew that the blue box wasn't about price, it was about meaning. It was the look in a mother's eyes as she passed a bracelet to her daughter, the quiet smile of a couple buying their first engagement ring, the feeling of unwrapping something beautiful that says, "You matter." Tiffany learned to speak the language of many cultures. And you? You're learning to speak English, the language of new opportunities. This emotional power made Tiffany more than a luxury brand. It made it a part of people's personal histories. And this emotional storytelling continued through its designs. One of the most iconic was the Tiffany Celeste collection, With diamonds reaching up to 25 carats, the pieces were bold, bright, and breathtaking. But even more than size, they represented something timeless: aspiration, confidence, and celebration. These designs resonated with a new generation who wanted more than tradition. They wanted sparkle with soul. And then came a historic moment. In 2021, French luxury group LVMH, home to brands like Louis Vuitton and Moet & Chandon, acquired Tiffany Co. for an astonishing $15.8 billion. It was one of the largest luxury acquisitions in history. For some, this marked the end of an era, but for others, it was the beginning of a bold new chapter. LVMH brought with it a new energy, a modern spirit of innovation, digital storytelling, and high-fashion synergy. Tiffany, once known for its conservative elegance, began taking creative risks. It collaborated with modern artists. It refreshed its advertising. It launched new collections aimed at younger audiences. And yet, through all these changes, one thing remained. The little blue box still carried dreams. At the same time, Tiffany deepened its commitment to responsible sourcing and sustainability. It began sharing the journey of its diamonds from mine to masterpiece, offering transparency and ethical accountability. Customers weren't just buying jewelry. They were supporting a vision of beauty with integrity. Tiffany also won global recognition for its design excellence. One of the earliest moments of prestige came back in 1878 at the Paris Exposition, when the brand won the grand prize for silver craftsmanship. That legacy of recognition continued into the modern era, with exhibitions in museums around the world celebrating Tiffany as both art and heritage. To illustrate how deeply Tiffany's pieces touch hearts, imagine this. A mother named Elena gives her daughter a Tiffany heart pendant on the morning of her wedding. As she fastens it around her daughter's neck, Elena whispers, "This was my gift from your grandmother on my wedding day, and now it's yours." That small moment becomes a memory, one carried for life. And yet, even as Tiffany connected families across generations, it still faced pressure. Fast fashion, online competition, and shifting values were rising. Could a brand built on timeless elegance stay ahead in a world that was changing faster than ever? Tiffany's answer wasn't just to keep shining, it was to shine with purpose, and that purpose would be tested in the years to come. Chapter 5: Challenges and Triumphs. Even legends must evolve. Tiffany Co., despite its shimmering success and emotional legacy, soon found itself in the middle of a rapidly transforming world. The 21st century introduced challenges unlike any before: digital disruption, rising global competition, shifting consumer values, and a generation that questioned everything, especially tradition. Could Tiffany, a brand built on timeless elegance, survive the speed of change? The pressure mounted. New luxury brands emerged: sleek, digital native, fast-moving. Social media redefined influence. Younger consumers wanted authenticity, transparency, and values that matched their own. Owning a diamond was no longer just about status. It needed a story. For some critics, Tiffany seemed too rooted in the past, too slow, too classic. They asked, can this old-world brand stay relevant in the world of TikTok and Instagram? But Tiffany was listening, and slowly, purposefully, it began to respond. The brand embraced innovation, not by abandoning its roots, but by reinterpreting them. It launched new campaigns featuring unexpected voices, diverse models, bold artists, cultural icons. It highlighted the stories behind its pieces, especially the ethical journey of each diamond. Customers learned not only about carats and clarity, but about communities, craftsmanship, and conservation. This was luxury with a conscience, beauty with meaning. Tiffany also invested heavily in sustainability. It was one of the first jewelers to offer full transparency about the origin of its diamonds. It redesigned its supply chain, committed to ethical mining practices, and set ambitious environmental goals. For customers who cared about where their purchases came from, this mattered. It made them feel proud, not just to wear Tiffany, but to be part of something bigger. And the designs evolved, too. Tiffany introduced bold new collections that blended tradition with modern flair. The Tiffany Tea, hardware, and knot collections attracted a younger, fashion-forward audience. Celebrities like Zoe Kravitz, Tracee Ellis Ross, and Lady Gaga wore these pieces not just to red carpets, but to everyday moments. Tiffany had become accessible, wearable, and more personal than ever. Yet through all this change, the brand never forgot its emotional core. The Tiffany Blue Box remained a symbol of life's most meaningful milestones, engagements, anniversaries, births, and even personal achievements. The tradition of giving and receiving that little blue box continued across generations. Imagine this moment. A young man named Carlos, the first in his family to graduate from college, receives a Tiffany pen from his mother. Inside the box is a handwritten note. This pen is for the story you'll write next. It's not about price. It's about meaning. It's about pride, hope, and connection. And that is the magic Tiffany never lost. But the path forward is never easy. Fast fashion continues to rise. Trends come and go with viral speed. The question persists, can Tiffany continue to lead with meaning, not just marketing? Can it inspire, not just sell? What do you think? Has a brand ever made you feel something more than admiration, something personal? Have you ever given or received a gift that felt like a turning point? Let us know in the comments. What would you put inside a Tiffany Blue Box if you could give it to someone you love? In the end, Tiffany's true triumph is not just its ability to survive, but to adapt with grace, to shine not just with diamonds, but with emotion, innovation, and integrity. And while the world moves faster than ever, one thing remains. People still want to feel something real. A connection, a dream, a story that reflects who they are. That's why Tiffany continues to shine, and why its greatest stories may still be waiting to be told. Chapter 6. Tiffany's Endless Glow. Step into any Tiffany store today, and you'll see more than just jewelry behind the glass. You'll see a legacy reflected in the sparkle of diamonds, the soft blue of the box, and the quiet smiles of people marking life's biggest moments. Over 185 years after its founding, Tiffany Co. remains a symbol recognized across the world. But what keeps it glowing is not just luxury, it's relevance, resilience, and reinvention. Today, Tiffany operates in over 300 cities worldwide, from the elegance of Paris to the energy of Shanghai, from the romance of Rome to the pulse of Los Angeles. Tiffany continues to capture hearts. The brand's estimated value has soared beyond $16 billion. But this success isn't just measured in numbers. It's measured in emotions, in the tears of a surprise proposal, in the joy of a birthday gift, in the quiet pride of marking a graduation or a new job with something meaningful. Hollywood hasn't forgotten Tiffany either. The brand continues to shine on the silver screen. In Sweet Home, Alabama, 2002, an unforgettable proposal takes place in the Tiffany store, blending tradition with fun. In Ocean's 8, 2018, the legendary Tiffany Diamond becomes the centerpiece of a glamorous heist. And of course, there's Breakfast at Tiffany's, still loved by generations who dream of standing outside those famous windows. But movies are only part of the story. Tiffany's connection with the world deepens through moments that happen far from the spotlight. A teenage girl receives her first charm bracelet. A husband surprises his wife with a pendant for their anniversary. A daughter gifts her father silver, cufflinks engraved with a meaningful date. Each small box carries a big emotion, and Tiffany keeps evolving. Under LVMH's direction, the brand has stepped boldly into the modern era. Its designs have become edgier, more diverse, and inclusive. Campaigns feature real couples, unique families, and stories that reflect today's world. The Tiffany Knot and Lock collections symbolize strength, connection, and unity, values people crave now more than ever. The women who wore a legend, yet perhaps no symbol captures Tiffany's brilliance more than the Tiffany Diamond, a breathtaking 128.54 carat yellow gem, one of the largest and rarest of its kind. But here's the secret. In nearly 150 years, only 4 women have ever worn this stone. The first was Mary Whitehouse in 1957 for a special Tiffany event. Then, Audrey Hepburn wore it in photos promoting Breakfast at Tiffany's, adding timeless glamour to an already iconic film. Decades later, in 2019, Lady Gaga wore the diamond at the Oscars, radiating strength and artistry. And in 2021, Beyoncé became the first Black woman in history to wear the gem, in a campaign celebrating bold love and modern legacy alongside Jay-Z. Each appearance wasn't just fashion, it was storytelling, it was power, it was history, because the Tiffany Diamond doesn't just shine, it speaks. And the women who wore it remind us that elegance isn't about perfection. It's about presence. If you could wear the Tiffany Diamond for one day, what would it represent for you? But perhaps one of the most touching aspects of Tiffany's identity is how it honors love in all its forms: romantic, familial, and self-love. Imagine this scene. A woman named Amina walks into Tiffany alone. She's just received a big promotion. She's worked hard, overcome countless challenges, and today she's buying herself something special, not to impress anyone, but to honor herself. She opens the box, places the ring on her finger, and whispers, "You did it." This is what Tiffany means to so many people. It's not just about being given something. It's about claiming your story, your strength, your dreams. What comes next for Tiffany Co? No one knows for sure, but one thing is clear. The box may be small, but its glow is endless. In many ways, learning English is the same. It's not about being perfect. It's about starting small, staying consistent, and connecting with something greater than yourself. Every word you learn is a step forward. Every story you understand is a doorway to a new world. Just like Tiffany's journey, your progress may feel slow at times, but one day it will shine. So let this story stay with you, not just as a lesson in history, but as a reminder that your voice, your dreams, and your growth matter. If this story touched your heart or helped your English, show your support by liking this video. And don't forget to subscribe to English Life Stories for more powerful journeys that help you grow your English and your confidence. Keep learning, keep dreaming. Your legacy is still unfolding. And remember, the next story we tell might just be yours.